Well, good evening, WNBA and women's basketball fans. The story you're about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. Welcome in, folks, to this evening's edition of the WNBA 365 Network, your 24/7, 365 comprehensive home for everything revolving around the WNBA and the rest of the women's basketball universe. Back with you folks here off of jury duty for this Wednesday night, June 15th, 2016. Welcome, folks, to tonight's two-man game tonight between both Cal McClurg here in studio from Studio 171 in San Diego. Joined tonight by Tanisha Stewart, a.k.a. Shorty Mamba 24 on Twitter, from Los Angeles, California. Shorty, good to see you. How's it going tonight?
Hey. Ready to talk basketball.
Yeah, I think everyone is. And again, folks, we will actually have a couple of more. We actually will update you again on what we, again, were talking about for a bit last night. But again, folks, welcome in, though, again, to tonight's program. But again, as always, Facebook and Twitter are wide open for you folks at WNBA 365, at Calamac3, or at Shorty Mamba 24 on Twitter with the hashtag of WNBA 365, or hit us up on our Facebook page at facebook.com/WNBA 365. We're getting closer, folks, to 60 likes on Facebook, so thanks to all of our friends that have liked our page recently in the past couple of days, and we thank you, of course, for your great support and appreciation for us and for all of us fans that come here and talk basketball and try to entertain you for about a good 30 minutes to an hour, 9 times out of 10. So, Shorty, we'll actually go back and kind of revisit last night again. We had no games played tonight because we had a full slate of games last night played in the WNBA. Shorty, we'll kind of go back and revisit the games from last night. We're not going to go fully deep in detail. We only got 30 minutes tonight for the program. But, Shorty, we'll start off from last night again with the Mystics and Sun, a triple overtime thriller. Mystics over the Sun, though, 109-106. So, again, Shorty, Crystal and myself had talked about this last night again of how Washington has really played well, but they've only played well so far away from home, and I think in this case is that Connecticut. This is, not only a heartbreaking loss, but maybe a loss that I think probably lowers their confidence now. I mean, of what we've seen from the Suns so far this season, they have battled, but have been on the wrong end of games. And again, here's another instance again of them battling, and falling short again, losing by 3 in a triple overtime game. Again, that's 7 periods or 7 quarters they played in Unkinsville last night. Shorty, what do you make about probably one of the instant classic games from the 2016 season between the Mystics and Sun, playing 7 quarters of basketball yesterday?
Yeah, it was definitely more than interesting. I mean, the first 3 OT of the season, man, I thought the game would never end. I mean, they just kept tying, along the way throughout the game, but it sort of, that's how the game went. It was just even. I look at all four quarters on, the stat sheet. Scoring is even up until, when it get to that first, OT, and it continued from there. The reason why it, went so long because neither team shot particularly well, but they just kept going at it until just in that final, 3 OT, the third one, just Washington finally, just kicked things into gear, and I think Connecticut was also tired as well because of that. And Washington took over and eventually won the game.
And Shorty, with Washington again, they've been such a kind of a fascinating team for some of the wrong reasons, and they have lost all their games at home and have won every game they've played on the road so far. I mean, Shorty, I'm not quite sure what. I don't know what to make of this. I mean, this one's kind of making me do this right now. It's like, it's a head scratch. I mean, it's like, how can a team, any sporting level, play so good away from their home arena or home stadium, but yet go home and stink up the joint? So, Shorty, what has been different, I guess, in your mind in regards to why or how the Mystics have won all these away games while not winning a single game at home so far this season?
Truthfully, I'm not sure. It just seems like maybe because, they're on the road, so they bond more, and that gives them, just the toughness to win games on the road versus at home. But like I said in the previous show, I think the Verizon Center may be cursed at this point because, they just can't seem to, get all the pieces together, and they can't connect their chemistry at home. It seemed like now their home is their worst enemy, but on the road where, they're able to bond and be around each other much more, you know, that gave them a reason to, definitely take over in this game.
So again, folks, in a triple overtime thriller, you can sort of say again that is the Mystics over the Sun from Unkinsville, 109-106. Shorty, Tina Charles, and Sugar Rogers are back at it again with the Liberty. They edged Dallas last night, 91-88. Now again, Shorty, we really have been sort of talking about, other players for the Liberty stepping up, and as I said as well, that Myron Crawford, one of our great analysts and Twitter followers on Twitter, had brought up a good point, though, again, about, people were only really talking about the Liberty missing Epiphany Prince because of her ACL injury. But Shorty, also there were two other puzzle pieces that are no longer in New York via free agency or retirement that also, I think, were two very key components to that team. That was both Candace Wiggins and Essence Carson, who's now with the 10-0 LA Sparks. Shorty, what do you make about, obviously, we know about, the burden, I guess, for scoring in regards to it being on both Charles and Rogers. But Shorty, do you agree, though, with Myron's theory, again, that it's not just about Piff being gone, but also losing Carson to free agency, but also Wiggins retiring as well being a pretty big culprit for the Liberty's kind of up and down start to the season?
I do think those two names have somewhat to do with it, but then not fully because with Candace, I mean, she, of course, is known for her defense, but she, did bring some scoring, for the team, much needed scoring last year that they are missing this year. She brought, her range from beyond the arc. So that is one of the things that they are missing from Candace. Now, in regards to Essence Carson, I mean, Essence, again, she's also a defensive player, just brought the intangibles when it comes to defense. But when it comes to scoring, I mean, she really didn't provide, that much scoring. So if they were to retain Carson, she would just pretty much, be doing the same things as she was from last year. And as we said before, New York, a team that is in much need of more scoring from other names, not Charles and Rogers. Essence would have not, provided that on the offensive end for the New York Liberty. So I'll say at least when it comes to Candace, I think they might be missing her offense a little bit, but overall, it was just after those, two names were gone, it was up to, the coaching staff, especially Bill Lambier, to, go out and bring in pieces, that can provide the much needed offense to go with their defense. And he really didn't, do that much in free agency to bring that to the New York Liberty.
By the way, folks, a stat to know, the longest game in WNBA history involved the Mystics back in 2001 at Seattle. The longest game is quadruple overtime. So, Shorty, we've seen the Mystics play two triple OT games in recent years. We saw them play triple OT with LA in 2014, and again triple OT here this year. So, again, folks, 4 overtimes, the longest game in WNBA history, set back in 2001 by the Mystics playing at Seattle in the 2001 season. Shorty, back to the scoreboard. The Lynx get off to now a new WNBA record for best start to start a season again. Their 11th straight win, blowing the doors off the Fever, 87-63 from Target Center. Shorty, more so with the Fever, Crystal and myself have really been talking about kind of like, you've seen the disconnect between the coaching staff and the players with this Fever team again, and Tamika Catchings again had a pretty rough night yesterday. And again, not really a lot of production scoring-wise out of this Indiana team. And again, I know it's not really a big factor talking about, this perhaps disconnect. When you can kind of see it plain as day about the Fever really, really just scuffling from game to game and no offensive production, that there is definitely some type of internal problem here with this team. Shorty, what do you think and why about this?
I definitely do think it's an internal problem, going on with the Fever. I don't want to put this all on Steph White, but it seemed like ever since the announcement, of her leaving at the end of the season for Vanderbilt, I mean, there's just a big disconnect between her and the players. Just they're not on the same page. Catch, sadly, is playing a bit slower than normal. My goodness, Marissa Coleman is struggling uh, badly, not only from field goal but from three. A range, in a point that she, was definitely, good at last year. If I'm not mistaken, I think she at least shot 39% from three. This year, it's just it doesn't even come close. So, and even the rookies on the team, Tiffany Mitchell, of course they're rookies, but still, she's just not scoring as well. Not much from Willer, Mosley, and it's just I don't know. They got a lot of things they need to figure out in the next few games.
Shorty, again, not to look too far down the weeks ahead again in regards to the potential battle of unbeaten behemoths at Staples Center next Tuesday. Again, there are a couple of hurdles in the way, though, of that perhaps not happening or still happening in regards to both the Lynx and Sparks having games in between. But again, Shorty, there's no denying again that we have not really seen teams totally dominate the WNBA in recent years. We've seen the Lynx and their dominance lately. Of course, the Mercury also with their dominance with 29 wins back in 2014. Sort of reminiscent a little bit of the Comets back in the 90s, perhaps, in regards to how they started off the season. Again, 11-0 starting in the new league record for best start that they broke back in 2012. But again, Shorty, as I said, though, last night, history in this case is not on Minnesota's side. For some reason, like no back-to-back champions since 01-02. And the last time the Lynx set the best start record, they did not win the title. They lost to Indiana in 2012. So, Shorty, while it may look good right now for the Lynx, and again, they are playing top-tier, in-your-face, phenomenal, off-the-wall, thrilling basketball to watch. Don't get me wrong, Shorty, but again, at this point, though, history says it's not on their side right now. Shorty, do you agree, perhaps, in regards to the good start, maybe, perhaps, and I think it's pretty much highly doubtful, but does this sort of historic start kind of perhaps loom a bit heavy in Minnesota's mind later on? Not so for right now, but again, in regards to what we've already talked about in regards to no back-to-back championships won, and also about the last time they had the best start in league history back in 2012.
I would definitely agree, and it's not me being a hater on my part because I am a Sparks fan, and those two teams are best teams in the league right now. But yes, if you go back to history, and it's been years. It's actually been over a decade since, as we spoke of, the last team, Sparks 01, 02, repeat back-to-back championships, and there has yet to be a team to accomplish that same feat. Now, I don't know what the Lynx are going to do on down the season. They could possibly continue to be undefeated, 15-0, maybe 20-0, or whatever the case may be. But just from looking, from a historic standpoint, early season predictions, back in May, and I don't think that the Lynx will ultimately, repeat because of those two historical points that you brought up.
So again, folks, Indiana losing once more. The Lynx again off to the best start in now league history again at 11-0 as they demolished the Fever 87-63 last night. Shorty, the other two games, but the first game last night. Stars battle, scrap and claw for a 77-70 win over the Seattle Storm from AT&T Center last night. Shorty, probably one of the more better games to watch. I know it's between, probably between two teams that will probably more than likely either squeak or not get in the postseason party this year. But Shorty, give credit where credit is due to those three young kids, Derek Hamby, Kayla McBride, and also Mariah Jefferson for playing their butts off last night and really carrying that Stars team to the finish line. Shorty, what's your final takeaway from San Antonio winning game number 2 of the year for them?
When I look at this game, I mean, definitely, the stars, stepped up. Multiple players stepped up, in a big way. One of the things that uh, we pretty much, continue to talk on this show, especially from our good friend Marquez, who is the resident Stars fan, is that they have the defense when it comes to the Stars. They rank fifth in defensive rating, so the defense is there. It's just that can those their players step up and provide some offense enough to battle with some teams and win a few games, and that's definitely what they did in this game. Jefferson, McBride, and also Hamby. If I'm looking at the stat sheet right now, yeah, Hamby 15 points for her. McBride, 18, 19 for Jefferson. So, yeah, you got other players stepping up, instead of, just on, different nights. Oh, maybe it's McBride by herself or Jefferson, or even sometimes, Mo Curry, might step in. But you had, at least three players in double figures for that game, and they finally squeaked out a win.
So again, folks, Stars over the Storm last night, 77-70. Then short of the other game last night, a late night game. LA goes to a franchise best 10-0. Sparks romp the sky 98-85 from downtown LA last night. Shorty, we know that pretty much LA has been the under the radar, disrespected, thrown to the curb or thrown in the garbage can team in regards to the 10-0 start for Los Angeles. But again, I told this to Crystal Thomas last night in our off-air hangout this earlier this morning and then last night that, LA, I think, likes that. They like kind of being that underdog or, disrespected team because that's whiteboard material saying, no one thinks that we should be here at 10-0. And they've, in spite of the fact that Minnesota has probably won games either by bigger margins, but Shorty, undefeated is undefeated in my book. And how we've seen Los Angeles really do a 180 and really turn things around after what they've been through and what they've and what we've seen out of Los Angeles since that heartbreaking defeat in 2013 at least. And then you go through 2014, a little bit of a rebuild mode there, but again, got back in the postseason. 2015 was an absolute disaster, but now Shorty, 10 straight wins, a new franchise record to open the season. Shorty, what are your thoughts, though, I guess, because I think the Sparks really enjoy having that little us versus the world type of mentality. And again, it's probably on the whiteboard every day about, we're being disrespected in the media. No one thinks we should be 10-0, so on and so forth. But Shorty, do you think though that perhaps LA likes kind of being that under the radar team so far, still undefeated, still unbeaten at 10-0?
I most definitely think they do. I mean, as of right now, the Sparks, as a team, aren't worried about high praises from different media outlets. What they're doing is just focusing on each game day by day. Not trying to get too ahead of themselves or go back and look at what they did in the past. And for them, they like to be underrated because let Minnesota get all the praise. We are not focused on the attention. They pretty much want to play their game and take it day by day for sure.
So, Shorty, we're going to actually visit the chat box real quick, and it's actually Crystal Thomas in our chat box tonight. It's not Todd Mintz this evening, folks. Todd is off this evening. Shorty, Crystal is saying in regards to the Liberty specifically, she brought us up earlier on, she also says with them waiving or losing Harding today is also going to hurt the Liberty in her mind with that news, actually, folks, coming out today, the Liberty waiving Lindsey Harding today again. Now, Shorty, we know that she had some very small or like a pretty big problem developed with her overseas club from this past offseason. She had to go in a 10-2 overseas somewhere, but again was released via her contract. Shorty, what do you make about this news from today?
Oh my goodness, it was a surprise. It seemed like after Lindsey Harding, was let go of the Sparks, she's now just been bouncing around everywhere between overseas and the WNBA. But this is, it was definitely interesting because I didn't think they would let her go. I mean, speaking of Crystal, the person who posed this question, Ayo, what's up? I mean, I was surprised because, and I'm wondering, not only, was this just a move for them to, allow her to go and play overseas, but are they, looking to bring in someone else? Because if it was just, if they were willing to retain her, they would just suspend her. They wouldn't waive her necessarily, like the Atlanta Dream do, the overseas commitments. They suspended her, for a few games, the liberty to just go out and waive Harding. I think that they get to bring in another player, another guard who can also provide a scoring punch for the Liberty.
So again, folks, Lindsey Harding, due to overseas commitments, waived today by the New York Liberty again after the Liberty's win last night. Again, Harding has not played in the past few games due to, again, attending a pretty severe and pretty big overseas commitment, but again, was released of her contract and waived today by NYL earlier today. Before that, now, folks, actually, I want to actually go back, folks, and again, we just put this up, but we actually had to remove the tweet to fix it up, but we'll put it back out at the top of the hour. But also, folks, again, confirmed, set in stone, WNBA 365 Network host IVU returning on June 30th from Staples Center in downtown LA at 12:30 p.m. when the Sparks host Atlanta. That game, again, is at 12:30 p.m., 3:30 Eastern. That game can be seen on NBA TV or Time Warner Cable Sportsnet or Time Warner Cable Deportes. It's going to be one of the annual Sparks Camp Day games. So I will be there for the game. Crystal right now perhaps may be there again, but that is going to be a host IVU game against Sparks Dream, 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern, June 30th from the big office in downtown LA. Shorty, 2 games tomorrow on the WNBA Thursday schedule to get back to work after the off day of the day and for the entire league. Liberty Sun at 4 o'clock on League Pass or MSG Plus, and Storm and Wings on League Pass at 5:30 or Fox Sports Southwest. Shorty, give us your thoughts first about the Liberty and Sun game. Again, we've talked about the Liberty again, going through some roster influx right now. The Sun losing a heartbreaking triple overtime game on Tuesday to kick off the week for them. Shorty, what are your thoughts about this game between the Libs and Sun from Mohegan Sun?
Liberty, Connecticut Sun. Ultimately, I have New York taking this game because the Connecticut Sun struggles continue. They're not good on they're not that much good on offense, and neither on defense. And even though Alex Bentley, had a good game in that 3-0 loss, with a score dropped 31 points, so that was definitely big on her. But however, I mean, I think Tina Charles and again Sugar Rogers is going to have another field day. So the Sun still can't figure out what they need to do. So Liberty are going to take the game.
Yeah, Shorty, I agree. I think that that 9 times out of 10, sometimes a game like a triple overtime game or a long baseball game or hockey game can normally turn someone's season around. I don't know if that's going to be the case with the Sun after Tuesday's heartbreaker, again, that triple OT loss to Washington. I think my biggest talking point though is going to be the Liberty have to have 2 players or somebody else not named Charles or Rogers take over the game for once and give those 2 a break. They've been workhorses all year, and again, we've talked a lot about the burnout, perhaps, Shorty. They need to have you need to have somebody else step up and help out Charles and Rogers for the next game or for the game for tomorrow. Then also, again, Shorty, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. Seattle visits Dallas on WNBA League Pass or Fox Sports Southwest. Shorty, what do you got?
Now, this is definitely interesting. I've been going back and forth with this game, myself, because these 2 teams are somewhat, I wouldn't say equally matched, but they're sort of, both struggling. So it's hard to predict at this point, but I want to say Dallas. Now, this is a game that can go either way, just because, like I said, both teams have been, struggling so far. Dallas dropping their last game against Liberty, but I'm ultimately going to go with go with Dallas because I just think at least they're improving. Skylar Diggins is finally trying to get back into form, and also Glojo, having her back is big. So I think they'll ultimately win the game.
Yeah, this one I've kind of flipped a coin, kind of volleyball served a little bit in regards to, I've kind of been going this way about who's going to win this game because it's one of those games in regards to both teams, struggling still a little bit, with some losses here and there. Shorty, I still think though that they're going to have to give that Glojo and Diggins are going to need some more time, I think, to really get themselves back into shape. But then though it was Seattle, I mean, Seattle coming off, a pretty tough, a tough one in San Antonio. This is one of those games where you're just kind of going like this because you don't know what really or who really to go with in this one. But ultimately, I think though that I do like Dallas though in this game because I think that now that Glojo and Diggins have had some games and minutes, now they can probably get themselves back at full strength. It may be one of those games. But I'm going to go with Dallas 2 at home in this one. I think that they break this tough skid of games they've had. But again, folks, once more, Liberty and Sun tomorrow at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 Eastern on WNBA League Pass or on the MSG Plus network for our friends in the New York area. And also at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, Storm at Wings on League Pass or for our friends in Dallas on Fox Sports Southwest. Shorty, in your mind again, now, as I said, Shorty, there may be a couple of trap games coming up for the Lynx and Sparks to again, have this marquee matinee Tuesday game on the 21st in regards of what I'm calling the battle of unbeaten behemoths between both the Sparks and Lynx, and possibly a matchup of the last two unbeaten teams in the WNBA. Shorty, if I was to have told you, back on our previous show that the Sparks and Lynx would be unbeaten, I know you'd probably say, okay, I agree with you about Minnesota, but I think you're a flat-out idiot for saying LA is unbeaten. Shorty, now that this, is possible reality of happening, what are your thoughts about this, potential matchup of the unbeaten behemoths, potential matchup again next Tuesday at Staples Center?
I mean, it's definitely, a surprise for the Sparks. I mean, as we said, we've already seen this, with the Lynx. So them, steamrolling in the league, wasn't a surprise at all. But the Sparks, I mean, goodness. I mean, they've had good seasons, especially, dating back since their resurgence in 2012, for those 2 years, they went 24-10. So, that was good. But then for them to go 10-0, or at least start off 10-0, perfect 10, undefeated so far, it's like, my goodness, and they're just playing, so amazing. Neka is playing out of her mind, had a streak of 23 straight field goals made before it was snapped. Still kind of sad about that. I wish she could, keep the streak going. But I mean, it's definitely going to be, fun to see two of the most interesting teams right now. And for LA, I mean, this Friday coming up with, the Phoenix Mercury is definitely going to be a trap game for them. It's definitely going to be tough. Now, don't let the Mercury's record fool you. I mean, they'll definitely, come out and definitely give LA a game, especially, Staples Center. Diana Taurasi has already stated that, the Staples Center is one of her, favorite places to play because, it's home, especially being a kid out of Chino. But just hopefully the Sparks stay focused, take care of business there. And then on the 21st, no excuses. Two of the, league giants going head to head, and it'll definitely be fun to see.
Shorty, as I look over the schedule, folks, and we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon, but again, I look across the schedule again. Minnesota's got Seattle on the 19th after playing a couple games. And, of course, Shorty, just for LA's sake, who better to play, for a trap game in the situation than the arch nemesis, the evil empire, the Phoenix Mercury, the rivals from, outside the 10 East or 8 westbound in my case, Shorty. And as you said, though, of course, Diana Taurasi, of course, is going to be extra motivated for this game, of course, playing in front of her family and friends from Chino and in the Los Angeles area. But, of course, Shorty, if there's any one team that could ruin someone's season or perfect record, it's not Seattle. It's going to be Phoenix more than likely that could, again, I think perhaps has the better shot of ending any the Sparks or Lynx's unbeaten record again. With that, though, folks, but again, once more to reiterate tomorrow's schedule before we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but again, folks, tomorrow's schedule for the WNBA, again, Liberty at Sun, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, League Pass, MSG Plus, Storm and Wings, 5:30, 8:30, League Pass, or Fox Sports Southwest. With that, though, folks, up until tomorrow night when we will be rejoining you folks back here. Right now, at this point, we're a little bit iffy because I could be actually going to a concert at the local fair tomorrow, perhaps. So if that's happening, we'll probably be off air tomorrow. If not, we will be back here with you folks tomorrow to recap the 2 games. We will let you know. We will let you folks know sometime tomorrow at a decent, convenient time for you folks. With that, though, folks, for Tanisha Stewart up in Los Angeles, this is Cal McClurg signing off from Studio 171 in San Diego. See you folks back here tomorrow. If not tomorrow, back here on Friday for a late night edition of the program. And maybe we'll be having another discussion about a potential unbeaten matchup between the Sparks and Lynx when it's all said and done on Friday. With that, though, folks, we may see you tomorrow. If not, we'll see you back here on Friday. Till then, folks, good night and have a good one. Bye-bye.